Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name is Charles, and we're going to be looking at the full moon, eclipse update. And we're going to be looking at the signs of Sagittarius through Pisces. This is part 2 of the video. I got interrupted last time, so we're sorry for the delay. If you like this channel, please click like, subscribe, share, all of that. You know, the whole algorithm, things like that. I do work as a psychic, a channel, I'm a medium, and I follow some astrology, but I'm not an astrologer. I read energy, and I use cards as a tool to do that. However, sometimes spirit does kick in, and I'm not in charge of when that happens or what it is that they're going to say. So this is really meant to be for this eclipse and possibly into the next week. However, sometimes information comes up and it can be longer period of time for some signs or for certain information about things. Follow my channel for more information about that and see how it's done. Okay, let's rock this. All right. So first we're going to look at the general energies for this particular time period and see what's going on, if there are updates. It's interesting because right now the vibe feels like it is a high vibration, but steady. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's the way that it feels to me. It's like a high-pitched hum, like that. So I would say that if you are looking to manifest something for this full moon, for this eclipse, right? So it is a full moon, first of all. So that is about tying up loose ends and, you know, clearing things up, etc. The full moon can bring more clarity about things that have happened since the new moon, which I believe was on the 14th. But it's also an eclipse, which, as some people say, it's like a full moon, like much more intense. And an eclipse, it's an interesting thing because the eclipse is about eclipsing things out of your life, right? So even though this is, it's kind of a lot of times a death card does show up, and that is a death and a rebirth, right? So, and especially since we are in like Scorpio time period, there's a lot of that's going on anyway. This full moon, this eclipse is happening in the sign of Taurus. So there can be things that are related to money, but also things related to your things can come up connected to your like self-esteem. Things can come up connected to anything physically related. However, because it is also Scorpio time period, there can be a lot of transformation. Pluto is making a big play right now as well. So And Pluto is one of the planets that rules Scorpio. So there can be a lot of transformation, transition, like whatever it is that you want to call that. But there's definitely been like a lot of changes happening with people. I've noticed a lot of people who are ending relationships and things like that. And I will say this, that it's very much like a tower time period, and a tower period is about, it's a tearing down in order to rebuild. And the tower is something that happens for you, not to you, right? And so it's a major reorganization. It represents like the structure of everything. The tower is ruled by Mars, so it's all like Mars is like a warrior planet. It's one of the rulers of Scorpio time period. It's basically the general in the zodiac. So it's like, so there can be a sense of aggression about things. So this is a time period where you do want to pay attention to the energies that you're putting out there, how you're behaving, how you're communicating with people, because Mercury is also in the sign of like Scorpio. So that is all about like communication. It can be connected to like your creative energy as well. So so we'll see what's going to come up. Okay. All right. Let us see the general energies for this eclipse, which is happening like last night and tonight, depending upon where you are. Right now, where I am on the East Coast in the U.S. So it's basically in effect, right? And so let's see what it is that's happening here. All right, 1, 2, what's happening for this eclipse? What is happening these days? All right, we got that. And let's see what this other deck is saying about. Happening for this like eclipse time period here. All right. We have 1, 2, eclipse time period. Okay. So first card up is the Knight of Discs, which is ruled by Taurus. So Taurus is very like slow moving kind of an energy, so they kind of like plod along, things like that. They're very kind of like let's see, this energy feels like it's a lot of like kind of like plodding along and things like that. This is definitely a time period. This guy here, Taurus, he is about money, finances. This is a card that can bring up windfalls and stuff like that as well. But this guy, this particular Knight of Pentacles, he is meant to be out here kind of planting seeds. So what this is telling me is that this is a time period that you can be going on different kinds of adventures in your life right now. There can be a sense of like travel, going places to, but the travel would be for some sort of new beginnings, for like business related things. This can be travel that is connected to the US, or it could be, or whatever country you're in, or it could be international kind of travel as well, as the information that I'm getting around all of this. Spirit is telling me that these things could be showing up very like quick, very like spontaneous kind of a thing. So just be aware that there could be invitations that are inviting you to go places and do things, whether or not you go and do that will be up to you, right? Next card is the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is a card about, so this card is ruled by Leo, right? But I am getting Venus energy that is also connected to this. So so this is a card that can have you wanting to kind of dress to the nines. It's, you know, like kind of, what is the term that they use, like a glow up, basically, right? This is about somebody coming into their power as well, right? So Queen of Wands is fire energy. Usually she is ruled by, with this, you know, this sunflower thing here, cat. This card is usually ruled by the sign of Leo, right? And so if you do have energy, if you do have Leo aspects in your chart, that can be hitting you very much. And there can be, I don't know, Spirit's telling me that there can be a lot of kind of like excitement kind of going on around here, right? And especially with like Mars energy showing up around here, you do want to be careful, because the information I'm getting around this is that there can be a lot of excitement, there can be a lot of like chaos, a lot of people kind of running around, right? Like full moon energy, right? It's like big, it can be crazy, it can be, you know, there's a time period where, you know, I have like nurse friends and they're all about like, oh, like it's a big time period for like the ER, stuff like that. So you do want to kind of be a little bit like cautious about like where you're going, what you're doing, right? And it's very much about being clear about where you're going and what you're doing, right? Check your motivation is what I'm being told here, right? Because this isn't just about like females, even because it is a Queen of Wands, right? But it's not just about like female people. So like male, female, right? Whatever it is that you're doing, right? With this fire energy here, there can be, again, like we were talking about, right? Like the whole Mars thing, there can be a lot of like aggression going on out there. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're the one that's instigating the aggression. You could just be out kind of minding your own business, right? And, you know, there could be things that are coming into your space, right? So if you're not looking for that, then you might want to kind of watch out for, you know, not be hanging out where there's a lot of crowds and stuff, you know, kind of like chill out a little bit or something like that, right? Because it's like, I'm getting this whole thing about, even though this is the Queen of Wands, which is like fire, passion, these kinds of things, right? I'm getting this energy that comes up connected to the mind, right? The head can be running on overdrive, right? And kind of, oh, like I want to be doing this, I want to be doing this, right? And like not wanting things to be in your way, right? So that is, just because you don't want things in your way doesn't mean things are not going to be in your way. There are planets that are still kind of like retrograde or getting ready to go direct, but not direct yet. Saturn being one of those. And so you just want to kind of be aware of where you're going, what you're doing, right? So Devil card, right? This is a card that can come up connected to like drugs, addiction, things like that, right? Things that, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's just about that. It can mean just about kind of like overdoing things, right? It's like food is also can be addiction, right? Like you know, 30 hours on your Xbox or something, you know what I mean? This is a card that can be connected to like extravagance. It's a card that can be related to, it can be connected to power struggles, things like that, right? It's a card that can be connected to like sexual agenda, things of that nature as well. So the card itself is ruled by a sign of Capricorn. So this is about, like, Capricorn energy is about your standing in the community as well, right? They're trying to be like practical, right? But the Devil card is about, it is a lot about like power struggles and things like that. Kind of who's going to be in charge, right? So it can be a lot of that kind of energy. So the next card up is that we have the Ten of Pentacles here. So this is an interesting card connected to these other ones, because this is a card that is about like burdens, problems, responsibilities. It can be a lot about kind of taking on a lot of energy stuff, a lot of work, right? But this is also a card that's connected to harvest, right? And we are entering into like on the 31st, we are coming up on Samhain, which is New Year, right? And it is a harvest time period, right? And this is about kind of wrapping things up as well, because this guy here, he has all these wands, right? But it's like he's almost home. So this is a card that can represent kind of wrapping things up. It's a card that can bring in things that are connected to a harvest with this eclipse thing happening here as well. So, you know, with the with this like devil card here, right? It's like, I want to get things done, want to get things done, want to get things done, right? Especially if things are almost done and you're trying to wrap things up, right? So they will get done, right? It just may not necessarily be like on your time, right? This is something where if things are trying to wrap up, it may take like a couple of days extra is what it is what I'm being told here, right? And we do have the Tower, which is what we were talking about earlier, right? The Mars energy. This is a tearing down in order to rebuild. It's a major reorganization around your life, right? And so again, we're talking about how the universe is tearing things down like for you, not to you, right? So sometimes this card comes up connected to like major kind of breakups. It can be related to you know, it could be like accidents, things like that, right? So again, kind of, it's Mars energy, right? That's what this like lightning is up here. This is the symbol for Mars. So it, like, again, it is a card about like aggression thing. It can be connected to aggression, right? But so this is about the reorganization, because things are not on solid, firm ground, right? So we're not talking about like every relationship going through like breakup. We're not talking about every company going through like a reorganization, right? But it's like, if things are not solid where you are, right, then chances are good the universe, you know, this eclipse here, it is going to create a lot of like change in order to because like Saturn is making a big stand right now, and so you know, it's about structure, right? It's all about like the structure of things. So if the structure isn't solid, if the structure isn't built on firm ground, right, then the universe is going to ask you to look at your structure and see what it is that needs to be changed. And just, you know, it can be connected to like a redoing of things, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that relationships or things like that, it doesn't mean that they have to end, but they're probably going to change, right? Death and rebirth. It doesn't necessarily mean an ending, but it could be an ending of the way that they are, right? So, Spirit is telling me that this is something that can also bring up a lot of change in plans, right? So people being like agitated because, oh, I thought this was going to happen. I wanted to go here, wanted to go there, right? And so it's like people having to. That feels a lot like Mercury retrograde, which Mercury is not in retrograde right now, but it makes me feel like that kind of energy that is connected to this, because Mercury is connected to like travel, electronics, things like that, right? And so I am getting this thing that is connected to like travel destinations and things like that. And So if you're, especially if you're going on international kinds of travel, right, it's like there can be kind of delays getting into like the other country and stuff like that. Doesn't mean you can't go. It just means that it's like kind of expect delays around things. So, all right. So that's caught up here with the Knight of Pentacles. Here we have the Justice card, right? So Justice is about balance. It's about a period of transition, right? And Justice comes up connected to like legal things. It is ruled by legal energy. It's ruled by sign of Libra, right? So like we said, it's like there can be legal things that come up connected to whatever it is that you're trying to do with your money and finances, things like that, right? So this is like something where you can be, this guy is connected to his money, right? He's looking at what he's doing with his money and finances, right? So this is like something where there can be things where you're trying to start a business, right? Very entrepreneurial kind of like energy coming up with all of this, right? And you know, this is what I'm also being told here is that this is something that can come up connected to diversification as well, right? If you're looking to expand your business, especially if you're looking to expand your business, like looking at business partners, things like that, right? Because this is ruled by Libra, right? And Libra is about like partnerships, whether those partnerships are like, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, whatever kind of relationships, can be business relationships, things like that, right? So any kind of relationships here, you know, there can be people looking into different kinds of like, you know, because it's Pentacles, it can be related to like work, money, finances, right? So different kinds of like business relationships trying to be put into play, expansion, things like that, trying to look at how it can be, I don't know, I'm getting this thing that has to do with like promotions, right? Promoting your business, things like that. And so, you know, anything that is related to that. So moving on. This is funny. I was thinking about this, right? So we have the Queen of Wands connected to the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords, this card is called Science, right? And it is, so it's a card that can be connected to electronics, things like that. In the Rider-Waite deck, I usually use this card for moving money emotions behind you, right? Kind of moving forward away from moving away from negative energy, moving away from problems, right? And the Queen of Wands is very much somebody who's about like taking charge. She's a queen, right? So she wants to be the person that's in charge, and how, you know, looking to, you know, I'm getting this scenario where she's like, you know, like, I'm done with this, I'm out of here, I need to be in a place that is like calmer, I need to be in a place where there's more organization, right? And so you could very well be taking on that kind of energy too. And like I said, this is a queen, all right, but doesn't necessarily, we're looking at general kinds of energies, right? So this is like kind of looking at your creativity, like feminine kind of energy, right? Which would be any kind of like creation things, any kind of like when you're trying to nurture things, right? All that is like feminine kind of energy, whether you are male or female, right? And so even men can be looking to be doing something more from a creative standpoint, right? You know, because the Six of Swords in this particular deck, right? This is a card that can be connected to, like we said, we're connected to like science, electronics, online things, anything related to computers, stuff like that, right? So any kind of creative energy that is connected to any of that, right? And so this is about people who are looking to be in charge of things, but there's definitely a movement vibration that is connected to this, wanting to get away from chaos, right? There's a lot of energy that is going on here that is about, if things are not working for you, right? So, excuse me. In the past, you might have been in this place where it's like, yeah, there's chaos kind of going on around this company, but I'm gonna kind of stick it out. I want to be here. I want to look for something more like long term, and so I've been putting a lot of energy into this, and I'm not ready to give things up right now. But the universe is looking at like, what is it that you're doing right now, right? And do you really want to be putting this? It's like the Four of Cups energy is what it is that I'm getting. The Four of Cups is a lot about not getting needs met on an emotional level. So it's like if you're in this place and it's like you've been making presentations to whoever the bosses are, whoever the people are in charge, right? If you're doing this work and you're not getting noticed, and you're not getting noticed, and you're not getting noticed, then it's like it could very well be time to walk away, right? And there can be an intensity, right? Fire energy, right? There can be an intensity that is connected to this, like, I'm out of here kind of a thing, right? So we will just say, make sure that you have a place to go to, right? This isn't like, we're not asking you to like sabotage anything or anything like that, right? But this is a time period that is going to be a lot about this whole kind of like transition and let's go. So and we have like with the Devil card, we have the Three of Pentacles, right? The Three of Pentacles to me is a card about negotiations, right? It's a card that has to do with classes, training programs, things like that, life lessons, right? So again, it's like if you're not, again, we're talking about like business oriented things, right? Like limitations and restrictions. You may have to go back to school for something, right? So whether it is like major college kind of thing, or if it is just like classes, training programs, things like that, and maybe that's why you're not getting notices because you don't have the right kind of degree, you don't have the right kind of like education. You may have like good ideas, but it's like, they want you to be able to kind of carry things out as well, right? And it's like you want to be able to move up, right? But maybe the company or wherever it is that you're working, maybe they're looking for somebody that has like some sort of a degree or some sort of like, educational background connected to what it is that you're trying to do, right? So this is part of where this like power struggle is coming from, right? And because the Three of Pentacles in this deck, it's called works, right? So what are you working on, right? And what is it that is keeping you stuck, right? And so this is the thing, right? Is it you may very well be looking at people who are in charge, right? And they're not noticing me, they're not this, they're not that, right? And so it's like you're sitting here, you're blaming other people, right? But what is your part in it, right? Like, do you have the education that they're looking for, right? Do you have the things that you require to actually back things up for yourself, right? Not just about experience, right? Because experience will take you so far, right? But these people, they may be looking for something more, right? And especially because this is like something that is this time period, it's bringing up a lot of change. So it's like this is something where you may be at the end of the road at the place where you're working right now, right? So in order for you to go through the change that you need to go through, in order for you to make the move that you want to make, it could very well be at a different company, right? So, or if you're not working right now and trying to move someplace, right? It's like, or get into someplace, you may require other kinds of education, right? And because I don't know where like I don't know where the Temperance card is, but the Temperance card is a card about alchemy, right? So it could be to your benefit if you have one kind of educational background, but if you can mix it with a different kind of educational background, then that makes you more, what is the word, like saleable? You can like sell yourself better. Um, so, so yes, there is that is going on there. So the next card up is the Wish card. Nine of Cups, completion of a cycle on an emotional level, right? This is connected to the Ten of Wands, right? So it's like things are ending, but you also have your wish, right? So the Wish card is not necessarily about, oh, I wish this, I wish that, right? It's like, what is the vibration that you're putting out, right? So, because if your energy is about a lack of, if your energy is like, I can't, right? Then you're setting yourself up for failure, right? And then that becomes the wish, right? That is what is creating the burdens, problems, and responsibilities that you have for yourself, right? It's like, so this to me is a card that can be like, you know, are you creating problems for yourself, which is what we were just talking about, right? So make sure that you are looking at things like fairly, looking at things like squarely, right? So again, like the Justice card, fairness, right? It's going to be a big play right now, right? So that's like justice. We're talking about like positive karma here, right? Positive, negative karma, right? It's like, it could be things happening, but it's karma based. So, if you've been out trying to mess people up, right, then that's going to create like a negative karma for yourself. So, because Jupiter is connecting to this, Jupiter can be in the same house as the eclipse, right? And Jupiter is about karma. It is about it is a time period about expansion, right? But we're also having like a lot of this like Saturn energy, right? And Saturn is connected to like structure and karma and things like that as well. So like those two planets together, they're these are big players, right? So we're talking about you know, the outer planets, right? Saturn, Jupiter, like that, right? Those are big planets. They make sweeping changes, right? Like Pluto, they're making like bigger sweeping changes, right? Because they're outer planets, and outer planets are very much more transformational in terms of like your whole life, right? So people are like wrapping things up right now, right? It's like, you know, there's a whole thing that is happening here that is very much about ascension, right? People trying to raise their vibration, right? So, that's not showing up on the cards, but that's what Spirit is telling me about. That this is a big time period that has to do with kind of clearing out a lot of the drama in your life, in your spirit. It's like, so if we're talking about clearing the energy in your spirit, right, we're talking about like the things that you eat. We're talking about, because like in your body, right, in your mental body, emotional body, spiritual body, right? So clearing out things, the way that you're like speaking to people and speaking about yourself as well, right? And like how you're thinking about yourself, how you're thinking about others, right? Are you having a positive attitude about things, or are you having a negative attitude about things, right? So like food, like how you're using people, or like are you being generous to people, right? So and we're not saying it's like give everybody like your house, right? You know, or things like that. We're not talking about emptying your bank account, right? But it's like generosity can be connected to your time, like being helpful to people, right? Things like that, right? If you know somebody's like having difficulty, right? Then like maybe reach out and say, hey, what's going on, right? I was thinking about you. How are you doing, right? So, you know, so a lot of things that are going on like that. So, last card here is the Princess of Swords. So Princess of Swords connected to the Tower card, right? and which is an interesting kind of combination, because I use this card for kind of dealing with things connected to your past, clearing the energy of the past. It has to do with, there's an altar here, right? So it has to do with building new value systems around your life, right? Both of these cards are connected to like structure, right? This is Mars energy. This is more like, it's sword, so it's more like air energy. And so yeah. So there is a lot of stuff that is happening here that is about clearing energy from your past, right? So that you can move forward, right? Because that's what this is all about right here, right? This time period right now, it's all about like kind of closing doors on the past. What are we doing to move forward, guys? Guys, girls, whoever, right? Like general thing, right? So, the universe is trying to help you, not hurt you, right? But you have to be help. It's like, help us help you, right? So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to help yourself, right? Like, what kind of things have you been involved in that are not helping you, right? And what kind of negative thoughts have you been having that, you know, like victim mentality, right? So, you know, because this is all about like kind of what position have you put yourself in, right? Because whatever it is that's going on, right? Because that's the devil card. Right? The devil card is limitations and restrictions, but it's self-imposed limitations and restrictions, right? So it's like, what did you do? What is your part in this, right? And what do you need to do to get yourself out? Who do you need to talk to? Communication is going to be very important right here, right? So what do you need to do to get yourself unstuck? Who do you need to talk to, right? And I'm not talking necessarily about like whoever your bosses are, things like that, right? I'm watching this thing psychically about, you know, if you have to talk to other people about school, if you have to talk to whoever your friends are, right? If you who do you have to talk to, right? To you know, if there's a thing here that goes on about taking an inventory of yourself, right? And if you're not sure what is going on with you, maybe talk to one of your friends and have them like help you to like get a clearer image about who you are and what you're about, right? What do they really think about you, right? So we're not telling you to find somebody to character assassinate yourself, right? But we are telling you about, you know, somebody who is your friend, who can be honest with you, right? And maybe the people who are your friends can also give you direction to the place that you want to be, right? Because it's like, if you want to be in a different place in your life, right? If you want to be in a different job, or you want to be, you know, in a different housing situation, if you want to be like, you know, where do you want to be, right? So you may not be able to see that from your purview, right? So talk to somebody else, and maybe they know, maybe they know of places, right? It's like, because I don't have the Three of Swords here. The Three of Swords is a card about sorrow, right? But it is a card also connected to sorrow due to lack of communication, right? And so it's like, who do you need to talk to, right? Three of Swords is connected to an imbalance between your head and your heart, right? So, so we're trying to get that together. Okay, so that's what we're going to say about that. And so we're now going to look at the sign of Sagittarius. Right? I'm pretty sure they did Scorpio in the last session. So now we're going to look at what is happening for Sagittarian people. All right. What is happening right now for the sign of Sagittarius? what we need to know for Sagittarian people. Sagittarian people. What is the general energies for Sagittarian people connected to this full moon eclipse in Taurus? Right? Sagittarian people. Sagittarian people. Sagittarian people. Sagittarian people. Let's see here. Sagittarian people. Show us what we need to know about the Sagittarian people right now. What is going on with Sagittarius and this eclipse? What's happening with Sagittarius right now? Sagittarian people, Sagittarian people, Sagittarian people. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, Sagittarius. So first up for Sagittarian, we have the World card, right? So again, we're talking about potential for international travel. We're talking about the World card is connected to that. It's completion of a cycle around your life, right? Major completion of a cycle, especially because Sagittarius is the next sign, right? So we are coming into Sagittarius time period towards the end of November, right? So we're moving towards you, right? We're moving towards your birthday, right? But the World card is a card that is about people it's about recognition, right? Recognizing where you want to be. You may be very much in the spotlight these days too, right? So people coming towards you, looking for you to be their mentor somehow or another, right? So there can be a lot of that kind of like energy going on right now, right? And so Sagittarian can be feeling very full of themselves right now too. So I'm not sure where that's coming from, but that's what I'm being told, right? And so there is a lot of that energy trying to happen around here. So this is a card about persistent, 7 of Wands. It is a card that can be connected to conflict as well, right? So we're talking about completion of a cycle of conflict, right? And so these two cards together can bring up conflict on an international stage, right? So whether that is the Israeli and Palestinian thing, or whether it is the Ukrainian Russian thing, whatever, right? But there can be a lot of conflict more in the news connected to these kinds of things, right? Especially because this is a card that comes up about people trying to defend themselves, right? So whoever it is that on the international planes, right? The people who are trying to defend themselves, right? They could be more in the news these days. It can be more. There could be new ways of defending themselves. That more allies coming to their, more allies coming towards them to be able to help them, right? So, so whatever that is all about, right? Whoever it is, whoever that is, right? So that may very well be Palestinian people being able to get more help, more support in what it is that they're doing, right? So there is that, right? But this is a card that is about persistence. It's about hard work paying off again. It's like, so, because it's a card about being able to stand your ground, right? So, which is another reason why I'm getting this whole thing that is connected to, with the World card and about borders and things like that, right? So, defending your borders, defending your ground, right? So, I know that wasn't necessarily connected directly to Sagittarius energy, but it could bring up this thing in Sagittarius time period where that could be coming to play, right? And so for Sagittarian people, right, it's like it's still this thing where people may be, all right, because this is a card about the World card, right? People recognizing you for your talents, right? This could be a big time period where people are trying to put more work on you as well, right? And so you may have to kind of stand up for yourself and be like, like, if you want me to do this, fine, but like I want more money, right? Or I don't really have time to do that. I can do this at this point in time, but I can't really do it like this point in time, right? So it's about, because it's a lot about that, right? Like, it's like this guy here, he has all these other people with these wands coming after him, and so he's trying to defend himself, right? This card can come up connected to battles with like ego and also low self-esteem, right? So you may have to kind of whichever end of the stick you're on, we'll say, right? All right, see, new beginnings, right? Ace of Wands is new beginnings. This is like a match, right? So doesn't necessarily mean it's a big fire, but it's a match. So it's like, it's a new beginning. It can be the beginning of a new relationship. It can be a baby. It can be like, it's a very entrepreneurial based card as well, right? So, oh my God, I really do not want to be talking about this. I do, but I don't. I've asked Spirit to get more information connected to things that happen on a global stage. It's coming up here and now. This whole Mars energy, right? The Ace of Wands is a card that's connected to fire, right? And I'm watching this thing that has to do with like more wars, bigger kind of like bombs going off here. I did a video the other day and I ran out of space, and so the video stopped. But I was looking at something that looked like a nuclear kind of bomb, and I don't think that this is in the US. I feel like I'm over in the I feel like I'm over in the Middle East somewhere. So there could very well be some sort of like a bigger kind of like bombing, right? And the Ace of Wands is a card about initiation, right? It's a start of something. So whatever that bomb is, it could be the start of something bigger, especially because of that Tower card that showed up in the general reading and stuff like that. Oh my God. So between like Sagittarius time period and the beginning of February, say like February 5th, there can be things building up to a bigger kind of like war over in that particular area. And whatever it is that's happening with the United States government, they may very well be trying to support that, getting involved in that. And so it's something that can bring up a lot of agitation in the United States. People not really wanting to be involved in all of that. Like, we don't need to be involved in that. We were already involved in like other wars and other wars and other wars, right? Like you know, like Iran, Afghanistan, right? All this kind of stuff. It's like we've already kind of poked our nose into other people's business and stuff like that. And so, like, you know, the U.S. citizens is like they may very well be all about, you know, we don't want to be involved in that, right? However, the U.S. may be looking at making choices where they feel like they have to do something in order to defend themselves as well. So, there could very well be something that's coming up connected to that. Oh, man. Oh. Do we really want to be getting into that? I don't really want to be getting into that. Three of Swords, we were talking about this earlier, right? Sorrow, heartache, things like that, right? A lot of miscommunications, right? So, if there's trying to be a new beginning, right? This is kind of can be about like having faith in things. It's like trying to, you know, if you're trying to start something new, right? Then it is about having a balance between your head and your heart, right? It is a card that comes up connected to like who do you need to talk to, right? You may not be getting information from this person, but you may want to be getting information from somebody else, right? So it's like looking like the World card, right? So looking at a bigger picture, right? It's like, so if you're being done with these people over here, then, you know, maybe you need to be looking at other people to kind of get your needs met. So so there's that. And I am getting this thing that has to do with timing, right? So if you're trying to get something done, it may not necessarily be like the right time, right? It's like, so you may have to like wait, and you may not want to have to wait, right? I want this new beginning. I want this new beginning now, right? But it's like you may have to like wait for that new beginning to take place, right? Because in one of the decks that I use, the Six of Pentacles is a card about things happening behind the scenes. So the universe trying to help you, your spirit guide's trying to help you, but like behind the scenes, right? With this card also connected to this whole kind of like battle thing, right? It's like things not really being clear. You're going to have to be careful about like being clear about what it is that you're saying, right? Like mean what you say what you mean. Don't, like, if you are getting involved in like arguments, stuff like that, right? It's like be clear about what it is that you're saying, right? Do not say something that you don't mean. Do not be making threats that you can't back up, right? Like all this kind of like stuff. Because this is a card that can, like, I'm looking at this thing here in terms of this whole like war situation, right? Wherever the war is at. There can be people who are trying to instigate trouble, right? So kind of people sticking their nose into places where they don't belong, right? So especially if people are looking at this whole like, oh, like woe is me kind of a thing, right? People playing a victim, right? Oh, this place did this thing to me, like, can you help me, blah blah blah, right? It's like, oh well, let's go get them, right? Like they hurt you, let's hurt them, right? It's like you want to make sure that what people are saying to you is the truth, right? Because this is kind of about sorrow, right? So it's sorrow due to lack of communication. So if somebody's like saying something and then you're not checking it out, right? So you're gonna need you should be checking things out, right? Making sure about like the truth, right? Because we are talking about the first cards out there, right? Like the Justice card, right? So like justice, fairness, right? Like gonna not taking things for granted, right? Like that, all that kind of stuff, right? And all right, so with the World card, we do have the Knight of Pentacles. So this night he looks to the future as far as his work. He's looking towards like retirement, things like that, right? Or you know, like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, right? So like, but again, this is a card that is about completion of a cycle, right? So if you're looking at like a lot of things that are about like ending, if you're ending your career, if you want to start a new career, right? Because this is like, where do you want to be in the future, right? So like people getting these ideas like downloads, right? Like there can be a lot more kind of like psychic information that's coming at you, right? So you can be getting these ideas about, you know, and this is Pentacles, right? So there can be kind of practical information going on around here, right? Be practical about like your decisions about where it is that you're going, what it is that you're doing, right? It's like you're getting psychic information, right? But you want to be able to make like a practical plan about where it is that you're trying to get to, right? And so we are looking at that. All right. So we are looking at this card about conflict and then like losses. This is a card about loss, disappointment, right? And things coming at you, right? And Five of Cups is a card about like endings as well, right? So um Spirit wants to go into this whole thing about loss, disappointment, things that have been taken away from people, and so they want to go after the people that took things away from them, right? So yes, this can come up connected to like Sagittarius people, right? But Spirit wants to talk about this like war and whatever that's all about. And I think that this is something that is very much more so about this Israeli-Palestinian thing. Whatever it is about, and I'm not a politician, right? Like I'm not big on like news, especially on an international level, right? But I know like there's something that is going on with those people, right? So, but I just know that I'm being told that the Five of Cups here is about like loss, disappointment. So things that were taken from you, people who are experiencing bigger kinds of losses, and so they're trying to go after the people that took from them, and then the people that took from them are now trying to defend themselves, right? So this is what we mean when we're talking about like the Three of Swords, right? It's like, get the real story, right? Because if these people took land, took like, I don't know, whatever it is that they took, right? If somebody took from somebody else, right, then those people are initially in the wrong, right? So the people who are experiencing the loss are the ones who are really the ones that should be being taken care of, right? So this is a big like karma situation, right? So if you're trying to defend the people who did the taking, then you're going to end up on the short end of the stick at some point. So we're just telling you to be clear about who you are, what it is that you're doing. If you're going to get involved in something, make sure of what it is that you're doing and not going in blindly, right? So so yes, so there is all of that stuff, but so when I'm looking at like Sagittarian type people, again, we're talking about some kind of new beginning that is trying to happen for you, right? And the way that this is making me feel is that you know, the Ace of Wands is sitting over there, right? And the like very entrepreneurial based card, right? So to me, there is this whole thing that goes on here about, you know, you you want to be doing something more in this company, but you can't, right? So loss, disappointment, things like that. And so you're sitting here and you're trying to justify why you're going to stay in the company where you are, right? It's like you're sitting here and it's like you're being asked to be in a managerial position, but you're not getting paid as a manager, right? But you're being asked to train people. So you're probably going to want to look at going to another place, right? Another place where you can be in charge, where you can be a managerial type person, right? And again, like we were saying before, making sure that you have the education, the schooling, the diploma, the degree, whatever it is that you require, right? Making sure that you have what it is that you require in order to be able to make that leap, right? So there is that, right? Again, we have the Knight of Wands. This is a card that's ruled by Mars, right? Mars is the warrior god, right? And very kinetic kind of thing. This is a card where I usually ask people, like, where are you putting your energy, right? And the energy is very entrepreneurial. The energy is about, like, this is a card about aggression, right? So aggression towards like new things. We want new things. We want you know, whatever it is that you're looking for, right? It's about trying to start something new, right? And you definitely have an ability to get it. But again, you want to have a clear head on your shoulders, right? And there can be a lot of like pissed off energy. So we're talking about, like, if we're looking at like the war thing, right? We're talking like, you know, if you're pissed at your at your job, right? Just imagine like a whole country, you know, a whole group of people that are like very, very upset, right? And like hive mentality, right, is what I'm being shown here, right? And just, I don't know, that's not good. It's very much not good, because I'm looking at a lot of people with a lot of anger issues and not really having a clear leader. But then somebody shows up that's going to take a lead, and So there can be a change in government as well. Because if the government isn't doing, if the leader of the government isn't doing what they're meant to be, then there could be somebody else who rises up in order to take charge. That's interesting, even though it's very scary. Because it does feel like whatever it is that's going on over there, there's some sort of a new leader that is coming up out of the Middle East area over there. So that potentially could be a good thing, because if whoever this is somebody who can calm the group down, then that person is somebody that can prevent a war. So there's very much potential for that, right? But there's definitely a lot of energy that is going on here about people looking for change. So, last card up, work, right? Again, we have this card, work, connected to, this is 2 threes. Threes have a big kind of creative energy, right? So, classes, training programs, things like that, life lessons, right? Connected to sorrow, right? So, sorrow, heartache, miscommunication, lack of communication, things like that, right? So, but this is like something that's going on inside, right? So, if you're sitting here being like agitated, right, but like you're not asking people why, right? Like, so, because again, like classes, training programs, things like that, and so, and this is a card about negotiations, right? This is a card that comes up connected to working together, right? It's a togetherness card, right? Kumbaya. Right? And so, again, we're talking about sorrow, right? Sorrow due to lack of communication, right? So, people looking for clear kind of direction, right? So that would make sense, right? So whether that is connected to like your company, whether it is connected to this whole like Middle Eastern thing going on over here, right? Those people looking for somebody who is honest with them, people who are willing to work with them, right? Because that's what it is that's being asked for here, is about negotiation, clear lines, right? That is what is being asked for around this whole situation, right? So if the leaders over there, right, whether it's Israel or whether it is Palestine, whatever, it's like we're looking for people who have an ability to communicate clearly, who have an ability to negotiate clearly, right? But this is a card about like sorrow, heartache, miscommunication, things like that. So there could very well be a big breakdown in communication, right? And in negotiations. So if there have been negotiations, whatever, I don't know. But if there have been negotiations, there could be a breakdown in negotiations. And that breakdown in the negotiations could very well bring about a new leader in whatever area, right? So if you are, and so again, that's a lot of stuff that is coming up connected to like Sagittarian time period, the end of November to the end of December. So, but that energy is going to carry through to like February 5th. So, whatever that's all about. But like local Sagittarians, right? Like individual type, like Sagittarian, like people, but Sagittarian as a collective, right? So this is telling me that there can be a lot of like what we want to call like new groups happening around here, new kinds of like focus groups, new kinds of people. There can be a lot of like startup type things happening here, right? And whether this is something that is connected to like Craigslist, or whether it, you know, they have like meetup groups like that, like meetup.com, right? And it feels to me that there's a lot of kind of like creative energy that is trying to happen around here, right? And so if you're looking for some sort of a new beginning, right, and you know, it's like it may not necessarily come from the people that you already know, right? So because the Three of Wands is a card that can come up connected to community, right? So if you're not getting your needs met, if you're not getting clear information from the community that you're involved in, then look for a different community, right? Because the eclipse is about endings and beginnings, right? So because the way that this is showing me here, right, is that there are endings that are happening here, right? Because you've already learned the lessons that you needed to learn in terms of the group that you've been involved in. And so now it's like there's some agitation going on here, right? And so you're trying to look to the future and see where it is that you're trying to get to, right? And so you're trying to get over like stumbling blocks here, right? And, you know, again, it's like we have this whole thing going on here about, you know, completion of a cycle and like the conflict going on here. It's like, you know, there can be a lot of chatter coming at you, right? People making excuses as to why you can't do this, you can't do this. It's like, well, I don't really want to hear that, right? I want something new, I want something new now. And it's like, you know, you're just not getting the information that you're getting, right? People like, you know, I want a solution, right? I want a resolution, and you're not telling me what I want to hear, right? You're giving me excuses. You're giving me a lot of like BS stuff, right? So it's like people are going to be looking to head in a different direction. So that's what that energy is all about. So that was intense. Whew, man. Oh my God. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. All right. So that's like Sagittarius. And so now we're going to look into the sign of Capricorn. All right. Capricorn energy. Let's look at these. I'm going to switch things up for a second here. I'm going to look at Monology cards for the sign of Capricorn. Under this eclipse energy. And what is happening? 1, 2, Capricorn. Capricorn. More intense energy. All right. What is happening here? Confidence is a key to your success. New Moon in Leo. So this is going to be new beginnings that are going to try to help you to shine, right? Leo is about charisma. Leo is basically the sun, right? They're ruled by the sun, right? So this is all about like, where do you shine in your life? Where do you, and it's like, confidence is key to your success. This makes me feel like Capricorn is looking to, like, it's interesting because Capricorn is about, they're usually like practical type people. They're a lot about like money, finances, things like that, right? And but they're a lot about like they're standing in the community, stuff like that, right? And because kind of slow and steady wins the race kind of thing, right? But so, but this makes me feel like this is interesting. The sun is changing signs, and it's shining a new light on something different for the sign of Capricorn. So that's interesting. You're being led in a different direction, Capricorn. You could be changing. You could be changing the whole landscape of your life. This is a card that can come up connected to, completely changing your career goals, right? Or whatever the star card, right? Like whatever your goals, dreams, and aspirations are, right? All of that can be like making a change, right? Because I'm watching this thing, it's like the sun was over here, right? So it's like, the sun was over here, so I was very clear about what it is that was going on and everything like that, right? And now, astrologically speaking, the sun is moving over here. It's going to a different house, right? So now the sun is asking you to look at like if you're looking astrologically at a different house, right? Then that's like a different area of your life, right? So, so I'll be looking and seeing where Sagittarius, where not Sagittarius. I'll be looking and seeing where I'll be looking to see where Scorpio is in your chart, right? Because we did just go into the sign of Scorpio, right? However, we are having this full moon in the sign of Taurus, right? So I will be looking to see also where Taurus is in your chart, because that could be the part where, and because that's what I'm being told right now, is like, where is Taurus in your chart? And you could be asked to be looking more at that, right? And so different kinds of like money, different kinds of, because it's in the sign of Scorpio, right? And so, well, in my chart. So I don't know where Taurus is in your chart, right? But I would see where Taurus is in your chart, because that's where the eclipse is taking place. And wherever the eclipse is taking place in your chart, then it's like you could very well be asked to pay attention and focus on that part of your life, right? And so we'll see what's going to go on around there. Interesting. Work through your fears. This next card, this is Scorpio, right? So, like we said, the sun just went into Scorpio. So Scorpio rules the 8th house, which may be why we're trying to talk about that right now. So this is about other people's money, other like working with other people, right? And things connected to like legacies, things connected to inheritances, things connected to anything that is like that, right? Like, so walking through fears. New moon in Scorpio. The sun just went into Scorpio. So wherever Scorpio is in your chart, right? And wherever Taurus is in your chart, those two things are going to be bringing up a lot of things for you, Capricorn. So walk through your fears. It's talking about new moon, so we're talking about a new beginning, right? So right now this is a full moon, so between now and the next new moon, right, we're definitely talking about a lot of like changes going on over here, because Scorpio is about like death and rebirth. And we do have two cards here that represent the new moon. We have new moon in Leo, we have new moon in Scorpio, right? Next card up. Conclusions are within reach. Full moon eclipse. That's what we're talking about right now, right? And conclusions. So we are talking about like a lot of things like ending right now. We're talking about endings of cycles. We're talking about generational endings is what I'm being told for you, Capricorn. So it's a whole new way of being, looking at things connected to your family. Could be things connected to your culture. And it's like, you know, we've been doing this way, we've been doing this stuff this way for this amount of time, and now it's like, you know, oh, we're looking at doing something different. These things, the world is changing, and we can't really do this thing anymore, so now we have to do this. So this may very well bring up things if you are looking to change where it is that you live, right? If you are looking to like make changes where you live, like internationally or even like to a different state, right? And because, you know, I'm just thinking, because if you're in one place and you're doing this stuff, right, but then you go to a different state, it's a whole different group of people, right? Whole different like lay of the land and whatever like that, right? I just know that I'm being told here that this eclipse is bringing up a lot of different these like changes for you, Capricorn, and a lot of bigger kinds of conclusions happening, but it just feels generational to me, and I'm not even sure what to make of that for you. It's just that you know, your ancestors were doing things one way, the people that have passed away were doing things one way, and so now it's like these ideas about doing something like different, you know, whatever that means for you. And don't let pride get in your way, right? Again, like full moon in Leo. So we have the new moon in Leo, we have the full moon in Leo. So do not let pride get in your way, right? So people might hate me for this. I don't know. I don't care. I just know what I'm getting, so this is what I'm saying. So if we are talking about generational changes, right? And so your whole ancestry has been doing things this way, right? And so now you want to do something different than what your ancestors were doing, right? So it says don't let pride get in your way. It doesn't say your pride. It just says don't let pride get in your way. So I just know that like there are a lot of like personal changes that are trying to happen here, and they can be causing a lot of like generational things to be shifting here. But we'll see what's going to happen. We're going to pull a couple of other cards and see what comes up connected to that. Right, we're going to clarify that and see what it says. Yeah. Okay, Capricorn. Show me what these cards mean for Capricorn. Oh. I think that was a death card. Go figure. Oh, the sun. So, fun. Because this is new moon in Leo, right? New beginnings. But this is Leo, and we said, right, like the sun is ruling by Leo, right? So, confidence, right? And we were talking about the sun moving into a different direction, right? And here we do have the sun. So, I definitely think that's what that was all about here. Spirit says that your commitments are in the process of changing, right? They're telling me that your commitment to a particular organization, your commitment to a particular group, right? It's like you're very committed, right? It's like they were telling you one thing and you're very much on board with that, right? But now it's like you're being done with that, right? You're being pulled into a different place, right? That, like, it's almost like you're losing interest is what it feels like. It's like, it's like, oh, like there's something changing inside of me, and I'm bored with that group. It's like, I just feel like very much like Four of Cups kind of energy, in that I'm not getting my needs met on an emotional level from this particular group anymore, right? It's like, it's kind of like a burnout feeling. It's like, these people were very engaged in what it is that they were doing, and now there's just a lot of like repetition, and I'm bored out of my skull. So, so now it's like you're looking for something different to be doing in your life, and so there's the sun means that there's more clarity coming up around like who you are, things coming up from inside, right? So so this may be why we're talking about generational kind of like changes, right? Because it's kind of like a Saturn return, and I do believe that Capricorn is ruled by the sign of Saturn, and so Saturn was retrograde. It's getting ready to go direct. So this is going to be a big change in your life, right? A big change in your structure, especially with this eclipse thing going on around here, right? So it's like when there's a Saturn return. I'm not saying that everybody out here is going through a Saturn return, but it can feel like that, right? When that is going on, it's like it can be like your soul is speaking to you to be doing something different. Different value systems going on here. It's like your family, it's like society was telling you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And it's like, yeah, well, like, I don't want to do that anymore, right? So it like the sun finding new interests in your life, right? And a different focus is coming up around you. Fears, that, and that. All right. Next card up, working through fears. Again, we have like the Chariot. We have we have this walking through fears, right? New Moon and Scorpio, and it's connected to the Chariot. So there's definitely a movement cycle going on around here. The Chariot card is ruled by a sign of Cancer, right? And so this is a kind of like it's about the home, stuff like that, right? So the Chariot card is about things that can be connected to your car, things connected to travel, right? And the Chariot card is about like somebody who's leaving the city behind them, right? Inspired by the stars, by the sun and the moon, right? So whatever the astrology is going on right now, it's about balance in terms of the emotions, right? The Chariot card, like I said, is ruled by a sign of Cancer, right? And we have the black and the white Sphinx here, right? So it's about balance, right? Following your gut. And so because there is this whole new beginning happening around here, right? Scorpio, death and rebirth, we are in that time period, right? So it can be a big thing for you, right? Walk through your fears or work through your fears. And work through your fears and balance, right? Because it's clarity how you're moving forward. So, strength. This is like so funny. There's a lot of Leo energy here, right? The strength card is ruled by the sign of Leo, right? We have the new moon in Leo, we have the full moon in Leo, we have the sun, which is also Leo, right? And then we have the strength card, right? We have confidence, conclusions that are within reach, and then we have the strength card, right? So, and these are all major arcana cards that are sitting here, right? All of these, right? So we have clarity about moving forward and you being able to acquire whatever you're looking for here, right? So because the strength card is about it's about internal strength. It's about, like in the Crowley deck that I use, it's called lust. So it is about going after and getting the things that you lust after. It's not about sexual lust, but it is about acquiring the things that you desire, right? So it's like you're gaining more information about how you're moving forward. You're becoming more clear internally to be able to move forward and get the things that you're looking for, right? This is kind of about commerce, right? This is this card is connected to don't let pride get in your way, right? And we're talking about commerce. We're talking about kind of going out to other shores with this card over here. It's about like basically like in a lot of ways like your ship coming in, anything. And 3 is our number of creativity. It's wands, it's fire, right? And we are talking about all this kind of, there's a lot of Leo energy that's being connected to Capricorn, right? So it's all about like clarity, and the sun is saying like, where do you shine, right? So, you know, people born, like the sun is in everybody's chart, right? So you want to see where, we definitely want to see where Scorpio is in your chart, right? Because that's where the sun is right now. So it can be giving you direction in terms of where it is that you want to go. Because I'm telling you, this feels like there's a lot of energy here about uprooting. There's a lot of energy that's going on about like moving, a lot of energy that's connected to transformation, a lot of like what we would call like epiphanies going on with you, Capricorn. And you know, it's like because we are in like Scorpio time period, I am getting, you know, and the Chariot card is there, which is really a sign of Cancer, home, stuff like that, right? So a lot of like water as well. I'm getting this whole thing about like your intuition kind of pushing you or pulling you. Feels more like a pulling, right? But it's like Capricorn is being pulled to go into a different direction. Whether that is about, you know, you may be looking at working from your home and not necessarily, because it's a lot of home energy, right, is what it is that I'm getting here. So you may be looking at like changing where it is that you live. And I will say this, when I read for people, I follow their energy. And so if you are somebody who is very much about your work, right? It's like work, right? Then that is more where your energy is at. And so that ends up showing me that that's where it is that you live, right? So could very well be getting that kind of energy, right? Because we are looking at major arcana cards. And so we're looking at things that are affect like every area of your life. And so there's a lot of that stuff happening. But because we're looking at this thing here about, you know, if you're all about your work and that's where your vibration is, and that's what you're calling home, really, then you could very well be definitely making major changes connected to whatever you're doing work, right? And it's interesting because I think that this is very much connected to like Saturn, because Saturn is a planet of structure. So I'm getting this information about looking at different ways about how you are supporting yourself, right? Whether you're supporting yourself like from your job, like, and which is really like an emotional thing, right? A lot of people, when they're working, they're being asked to make sure that they're getting their emotional, they're looking at how they're being fed emotionally from their work, right? And so Capricorn people, they are more practical, right? But so not usually driven by their emotions. However, there can be a big emotional shift that is happening for you, Capricorn. So you may be changing what it is that you're doing for your business, or you may be changing how you do your work, right? So you may not necessarily be changing jobs, but you may be changing how you do your job, right? Yeah, so there's a lot of that stuff going on there. Let's see if there's something else there connected to this. Yeah, see, King of Wands just showed up. Leo, right? Fire, right? So Three of Wands and the King of Wands. So Capricorn is definitely looking how they can be in charge, right? How they can be leaders in either leaders in commerce, leaders in we have this thing, leaders in banking, leaders in the wands that the king holds, right? It is about his power, right? So you're being asked, like, where is your power coming from, right? Is it coming from your job? Is it coming from your home? Is it coming from your family? Is it coming from your friends, right? Is it coming from your spirituality, right? Where is it? Where is your strength? Where is your power coming from? Because that is something that can be going through a period of adjustment, right? It's interesting because I'm looking at this thing that is about, power coming from your gut, power, which means power coming from your ego and from your will, right? But I'm watching it moving up from your solar plexus up to your heart. So it could definitely be a thing going on here where you're being asked, Capricorn, like, how do you feel? Right? And how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? And what does that mean for you? So yeah, so that is Capricorn. So now we're going to look at the sign of Aquarius. Good luck with all of that, Capricorn. So we're going to look at the sign of Aquarius now. Aquarius. What's happening to the sign of Aquarius out there? My friend Kat is opening a business in England, as above, so below Emporium. Check it out. She has an Instagram page by the same name. Is that light getting ready to burn out? Capricorn. Not Capricorn, we're looking at Aquarius, sorry. Aquarius. I think I'm going to turn the overhead light on. I don't really want to do, but that's what we're going to do. Yep. My light burnt out over there. So I have a light that's set up for photo shoots and stuff like that, and that bulb only lasts for 20 hours, but it's good for the lighting. So we'll see what's happening for the sign of Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, 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 Aquarius. What's happening for the sign of Aquarius? Let's see here. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. So, Aquarius, we're gonna change it up a little bit for you. We're gonna be doing a Celtic cross spread for you. All right. So, let's see here. All right. So, this says that you have all the tools that you require to get things done. Could be a lot of daydreaming. There can be a lot of like Piscean energy happening for you right now. So you may have all the tools that you require, right? You have the Magician, but you also have the Seven of Cups, right? It's very Piscean type energy. So you want to be careful about being in a place of like delusion or grandeur, right? So in your headspace, we have the Four of Swords, which is about like taking time out, right? It's about looking at contracts. This particular card is about truce, right? So, but in general, the Four of Swords is about taking time out. It's about meditating, right? And it is in your headspace, so that makes sense, like swords. And so in the bottom, it's like, which is kind of subconscious here, it's like works, right? Which is again a card about like negotiation, right? So you want, it's like, you have all the tools that you require to get things done, right? But it's kind of like taking time out and seeing how you're negotiating, what it is that you have to negotiate with, and looking at the other side of who you're negotiating with, and kind of seeing what it is that's happening with them as well, right? Because you may very well be learning, right? Because the three of Pentacles is a card about it's negotiation, but this card is also connected to classes, training programs, like life lessons, things like that, right? So there's a lot of like learning here, and so whether you're learning education-wise or like just learning about life, there's a lot of that going on, right? Two of Pentacles connected to the past, right? So this is about like trying to it's interesting because it's kind of called change, right? But in my head, we wanted to call it challenge, right? So we're looking at this thing here where we're looking at this thing here where there's a lot of like changes that have been going on around your life, and so looking to like make changes. Whether this is the Two of Pentacles is a kind of an expansion, right? And it's ruled by Jupiter, but whether you're looking to, it's kind of about juggling things, right? Like juggling money, finances, things like that, right? This can be kind of about like juggling. I'm getting this thing here that says like juggling your mind connected with like your health, right? So, which to me means like your work, connected to your health. And when I'm getting this thing about your work, it makes me feel like it's like in your head there's a lot of effort. It's like I'm efforting. I'm thinking about this. I have to do this, 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 right? So it's very stressful, right? And because you've been juggling, right? All of this stuff, juggling the sense. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? Right? They'll want to take on another job. They'll want to change on, because sometimes the Two of Pentacles can be related to taking on a part-time job. Sometimes it's like taking on a whole new job, right? In your future area, you have the Hermit card, which is about feeling alone, being alone. It's telling you to kind of look at the inside and see what's happening there, right? The Hermit card is connected to it's connected to a lot of like introspection type of thing. It's ruled by the sign of Virgo. So, and this is also yin yang. So there's a lot of like healing. There's a lot of health issues that are coming up around here, right? And it can be because if your head has been in the place of delusion, right? Illusion, delusion, Piscean energy, right? And so it's like if you were like doing all of this effort to get someplace, right? You're being asked, Aquarius, like if this is really what it is that you want, right? Or is it somebody else's goals, dreams, and aspirations? That did somebody tell you that this was a good idea, and so you're taking on this, task, you're taking on this burden, right? But it's not even yours, right? So, and are you all in your head about it, right? So we're asking you to get out of your head, be more grounded, right? Because we're having this sort of like battle here, right? Between your head and earth, right? Between the swords and earth, right? So it's like your head and your feet, right? So, and with this card being about negotiation, right? It's like you could be negotiating with yourself. You may not even be negotiating with other people, right? It's like I'm trying to balance this stuff, but it's like it's not really working for me. Should I keep going? Should I not go? Should I keep going? Should I stop? Right? What should I do? Where should I go? What should I do? Like, I've been doing this for so long, and it's like, do I really want to give up now? And it's like, well, if it's not working for you, Aquarius, then like it's fine to like look and do something different, because you do have the Two of Pentacles, which means that you have been doing a lot of juggling and you have been thinking about change. And we are in the eclipse season right now, and things are finishing up right now. And so the Hermit card is also ruled by a 9. So that is a period about like things like ending. So, nines, the Hermit card is a card about like leadership as well, but it's like people telling you that, oh, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's like, well, like I'll show them, right? So there is a challenge going on around here for you to look at the inside and maybe look at something bigger, right? Because you have all these minor arcana cards, and then sitting here directly in your future, you have a major arcana card. So it's like, to me, this makes you feel like there's been like a lot of like kind of like pettiness going on, a lot of kind of like infighting, a lot of little like squabbles going on over here. And so now it's like, you know what? I don't really need to be doing this. I have bigger fish to fry, and I really want to be doing this, right? So Spirit is asking you to look at that, right? What is it that you really want to be doing, right? So in the staff section, right, we have your desires, right? So this is about you being able to, like we said earlier, right? The Strength card right? In this deck, it's called lust, right? So it's about your inner desires. It's about you being able to achieve the things that you're looking for. Um, so in the environment, this is sorrow. So it's like you're not really being happy with where you're at and what it is that you're doing. They're telling me this thing about like I'm picking things up, putting things down, picking things up, putting things down. It's like, what am I doing here? Right? So much repetition, and I need to be doing something different. Right? So, hopes and fears, this is a power struggle. Right? This is also an equal armed cross. In other decks, this card is, well, in this deck, it's called Dominion. Right? And but it's angst, right? I use it for angst. It used to be demeaning one person trying to rule over another person, but now to me it comes up about angst. It's like, so it's more of an internal battle, like in the stomach, right? And again, this is Mars and Aries, right? Which is really where the North Node is. And so that has a lot to do with, and the moon is in the North Node right now. So well, it was earlier today anyway. I don't know if it's like changed signs yet, but it is in the process of changing signs. But the North Node does have to do with where you're heading to, what your future is about, right? So that's really what this is like coming down to here. I mean, Mars and Aries, it's a ruling planet. It's like, so it is a kind of about aggression, right? But it's you going after the things that you desire, right? Because Aries is a first house. It is a kind that says I am, right? And so Mars being in there, it's like it's giving you, Spirit says it's giving you permission to be yourself, Aquarius. And so it's like apparently you haven't really been being yourself lately. So like we said earlier in this video, that there's a lot of stuff going on here about clearing things out, right? Clearing a lot of your chakras out, clearing a lot of this stuff up from the past, and going on to do something different, something more about who you are. So this is very much in keeping with the stuff that we've been talking about, just a little bit of a different kind of a nuance going on here. So the outcome is about light travel, right? Which is interesting. This is a movement card, right? And it is following the gut, right? Which is a solar plexus, right? And in other decks, the Two of Wands is a guy standing on the top of a castle, right, with the globe in his hand, right? So this is travel. This is a card that can also bring up international type travel, right? And so the change that you're doing here can very much be ooh, Aquarius. Well, the bottom of the deck is the Knight of Cups. This is a relationship-oriented card. But what I'm being told here is that this is about you paying attention to your own emotions, right? The outcome card up there is connected to the sign of Cancer, right? So it's a very emotionally based card, like the home, stuff like that. And so this does look like there are a lot of changes that are trying to happen with you, Aquarius. And it feels to me like there are a lot of like subtle changes that are trying to happen with you. However, what I'm told is that all these like subtle changes are adding up to a big change, right? So it's like, I'm not really happy with this thing going on in my life. I'm not really happy with this thing going on in my life. And I'm not saying that your life is particularly like miserable, right? That's not what we're talking about, right? It's like, for the most part, it feels okay, right? Feels like your life is like, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's fine, right? But for some reason or another, there's a little bit of like, you know, it's like a lot of like picayune things is what I'm being told here. Right? It's like there's this little thing over here, it doesn't feel right. This little thing over here doesn't feel right. This little thing over here. It's like little things that are adding up to a lot, right? So you could be very much agitated and not really understanding why you're agitated, because if somebody were to look at your life from the outside, they'd say, oh, Aquarius, your world is fine. It's like you're doing like really well, right? But it's like it has this feeling about, I'm not really interested in what it is that I'm doing right now. And so I think that if this eclipse weren't here, you would just keep doing what you're doing and it would be fine, right? But there's a lot of internal struggle going on right now for you. So it feels to me like, it's like, you know what, like, I'm not really happy with this. It's like, you could be looking into, like, Aquarians, I don't know, Aquarians to me, most of them are writers, right? I think that Aquarian people have no, what do you want to call it? All of them are basically like smart people, right? The problem that I have with Aquarians is that they can have a tendency to be a little pompous, right? And I don't know, you can kind of like put that on the side and not really like worry about it. It just depends on the particular Aquarian, because I have met some that are very pompous and like not anybody that I want to hang out with. But there are a couple of Aquarians in my life that I do like, that I do hang out with, and you know, I think they're like kind of like amazing people. So just really depends upon who the Aquarian is and probably what their chart looks like. So, but this to me looks like the Aquarians here in the general population here are looking to be making a big like shift in their life. And with this outcome card here being Chariot, and especially with the Two of Wands sitting over there, and the Hermit card here, this makes me feel like you're going to be making some sort of a move. It makes me feel like they're going to be either looking at moving, looking at opportunities to move, where you're going to move to. Definitely feels like there's a lot of change here. Wouldn't it be really funny if like every Aquarian on the planet picked up and changed states? That would be really, really weird but funny. But there's definitely a big movement here going on with the collective. And so you may not necessarily be changing where it is that you live, but you could be changing communities. You could be changing, you know, communities meaning like the people that you hang out with, right? It's like, I don't want to be doing this group anymore. Let me do this group over here. Not really sure how to explain what I'm watching. I just know that it's like, I have all of these, like I have the landscape of my life, and like this whole landscape is going away, and now I'm looking at a different landscape. So, however that change in landscape is going to work for you, whether you're changing cities, whether you're changing jobs, whether you're changing like what your house looks like. You could be just like, you know, redecorating like your whole house. You could be redecorating your whole life. You know, whatever that means. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna like change all of my friends. I'm gonna change my job. I'm gonna change like what it is that I'm doing in my job. I'm gonna just like make all of these changes, and it feels very radical. It's like subtle but like big. So like, you know, in Feng Shui, they say if you move like 22 things in your house, you'll change the whole vibration in your house, right? And so that's what this has this feeling of. It's like I'm going to make like this little change over here, 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 this little change over here. And by making these little tweaks, these little changes around here, it's going to change all of your life. It's like, it's going to be a big energetic shift just by making these little changes. So it could be like changing your diet. It could be changing the way that you go to work. It could be changing what you're doing for your work. It could be like, you know, I don't want to be hanging out with these people anymore. You know, I could be connected to this group. I don't want to be connected to this group anymore. And if you're not connected to that group, your whole like social, you know, well, like social group changes. So, you know, whatever that's going to look like. I just know that you have this Three of Swords sitting here, and you've been caught up in this place about illusion. So now you're looking at reality. You're looking at things like squarely in the face and being like, you know, like, I haven't been happy. I haven't been getting my needs met. Like, I haven't been interested in this for a long time. My head and my heart are not on the same page, and now we're going to be looking at something different. So that is what that is going to be about. So, last but not least, we are looking at the sign of Pisces. Ooh, Pisces. Pisces. You have an interesting energy, Pisces. Pisces is ruled by the 12th house, or the 12th house is ruled by Pisces. They're meant to be more evolved, right? Like, supposedly, astrologically speaking, right? It can be very psychic type people. Pisces. I was told before that like Pisces is a victim of the zodiac. Sometimes they have like trouble with their feet because they're the fish. So they don't have feet, they have fins, so they can have trouble with their feet. But you have very interesting energy going on with you, Pisces. It's kind of interesting because you're ruled by water, right? And so Spirit is telling me that there have been a lot of things going on here where you've been basically like wishy-washy and just sort of going with a flow, but not necessarily with your flow, right? But you're telling me that over the course of this past year, you have been looking to make a lot of changes around your life. And so this full moon, this eclipse thing is causing a big kind of wrap up. It's like, it makes me feel like you're kind of putting your foot down in a lot of ways, or you're putting your fin down in a lot of ways, and saying, you know, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be doing this over here. And it's very it's very interesting. It makes me feel like you're looking to have more kinds of respect, for lack of a better expression. Let's see here. Let's see what's happening with the sign of Pisces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, sign of Pisces. What's happening with the sign of Pisces? What's what's up? Pisces, Pisces, Pisces. What's happening with the sign of Pisces? 1, 2, 3, and 4 Pisces. Okay. Pisces. New ideas. This is inspiration. This is epiphanies. Aces are about themselves. So, Ace of Swords can also be, like I said, inspiration. It can be a different kind of spirituality going on around here. It's also a card that can be connected to different kinds of medication happening as well, right? But generally, the Ace of Swords is about like new ideas coming up around here, and generally new ideas about the self, right? So rethinking, 5 of Cups, loss is disappointment, right? So this can be new ideas coming up here and endings, right? New ideas that are creating endings, and also disappointment. And so looking at like the disappointment that you've been having, and then having new ideas about how to approach that, right? So if you haven't really been happy and trying to get this thing fixed, trying to get this thing fixed, it's like, oh, we're going to look at this differently. We're going to have a change in perspective around this whole thing. And so it just makes me feel like you're going to kind of like just, I'm not going to put the dishes in the dishwasher. I'm just going to get all new dishes. It's like different way of solving the problem, but a bigger sweeping changes. So you're the Magician, which means that this particular Magician is about overcoming obstacles in your life, right? But the Magician is ruled by communication. And the Magician says that you have all the tools that you require to get things done, right? So whatever ideas you have in order to deal with the losses, I do think it's going to be successful for you, right? Oh, there's victory. So, yeah, it's going to be successful. Because the Magician says you have all the tools that you need. Also, there can be more psychic information that's coming to you. Because the 5 of Cups is a card that I use for, it's like loss. But this is a card that I use for people that actually died. So it's like, so part of this is that there can be new ideas coming up about whatever the losses are that happen in your life, but it can also be new ideas that are coming from people that have passed away too, right? And so, and I just wanted to say also that if we're experiencing losses right now, right, because the eclipse is going to eclipse people out of your life, right? So that being said, Pisces, it's like people may be leaving your life, but it's actually being a good thing, right? So it's like there are new ideas coming up here about the endings that have happened. And if people are being removed out of your life, or if you're moving people out of your life, right, it's so that you have more energy, right? It's so that you have more mental clarity, so that you have more of an ability to get things done, right? So if these people, places, things, situations have been holding you back, right, then if you're looking at how those things need to end, then good for you, right? So we have the Ace of Swords, new ideas. Then we have the 3 of Cups. So this is celebration, right? New ideas about people in your life. It can be like celebration coming up over the course of the next like 3 months usually. And but this is also connected to like your social circle as well, right? So it's like new ideas that are connected to your social circle, right? And like whoever your friends are, right? And I just want to also say, 3 of Cups can be about like celebration in a lot of ways. Interesting. So we have the Five of Cups here, right? And then we have the Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Cups is about, she's very much about her emotions, and so whatever the losses are that you're experiencing right now, it can be very emotional for you. Hello, like Pisces, right? So, she's definitely, you know, Pisces people, it's like they're definitely ruled by their emotions. And we have the High Priestess here, right? So again, we have this card that would suggest spiritual downloads. This is a card, the High Priestess card is, it's an interesting card because the High Priestess is connected to like business women, right? But it's also kind of related to like therapists and stuff like that. It's kind of related to psychic people, things like that, right? It's a mystery of the unknown, but it's kind of related to like, I use it for like the goddess trying to guide you in the right direction, right? So, wherever you're getting your information from, whether you are getting it from like spirit, whether you're getting it from like a therapist, whether you're getting it from, you know, it just makes me feel like you're going through a lot of changes in the social sector of your world. It's interesting because I'm not necessarily getting, you know, for the overall reading of Pisces, right? I'm not necessarily getting this as a lot of changes that are connected to your world. I'm getting it more connected to whatever you're doing in like your social life with your friends, with all of this kind of stuff. And it's more, I feel like we're looking at, well, I'm a Virgo, but you know, we meaning like Piscean people. I feel like we're looking to have more fun in our life. So I think the Five of Cups is like if you've been having issues with depression, if you've been having issues with like losses, disappointment, right? It's like, you know what, like I don't have to be sad anymore. And personally, okay, so I'm not a doctor, right? I don't even play one on TV. I have seen a therapist for like a long time, like off and on. I don't believe in depression anymore. I call it oppression because it's like, you know, if you are neurodivergent, right? If you're one of those people, it's like, oh, I don't feel like I fit in. I don't feel like this, right? Like I feel different. I feel like, you know, I feel like everybody hates me because I'm different or this, you know, it's all of that, right? So they're going to medicate you, right? And to make it easier for you, right, to deal with this sense of displacement, right? And to help you to deal with this sense of like loss and disappointment about life, right? So it's like, because if that's heavy on your spirit, then, you know, they don't want you to feel like that heavy, right? So they're going to give you medication so that you know, so you don't feel it so much, right? But that is about oppression. That's because they are trying to get you to be able to fit in with the rest of the world and acting like there's something wrong with you, okay? Well, Pisces people, there's nothing wrong with you, right? It's okay for you to be exactly who you are. If you are a weirdo, right, then so be it. You're a weirdo, right? It doesn't mean that you have to, it's like you have to do something for work, right? You have to do something to have some kind of like an income, right? And you know, you have to have something that you can pay your bills for, right? So but that doesn't mean you have to have like 9 to 5 job, right? There are different ways where you can make money, right? It's up to you to find that, right? But you don't have to, like, if people don't understand you, right, then that's on them, right? I went through this whole thing, right? Because this can be an ending of medication, right? Like I said, Ace of Swords can be medication. This is an ending, right? Or if you're because it's new ideas about how to deal with like loss and disappointment, right? And it's you overcoming those obstacles, and then there's victory around it, right? So however that's working for you, right? The celebration is finding new friends, right? New ideas, right? Meaning like new friends, right? Lost, disappointment, but being more in charge of your emotions, right? Taking control of your emotions, right? It's like being like, you know what? Like, yeah, these emotions are here, but like they're my emotions, right? So it's like I'm going to take charge of them. I'm going to deal with them. I'm going to process my emotions, right? And Spirit is trying to guide you through your emotions, right? You have the Four of Pentacles here, right? The Four of Pentacles is a lot about trying to hold on to money, finances, stuff like that, right? So there can be this thing that talks about, holding on to money, stuff like that, saving money, right? And things like that. But what this is also telling you is to pay attention to where you're being led, right? Your subconscious, your spirituality, right? And because your spirituality is guiding the right direction, right? And they're asking you to not hold on so tight, right? Like if you have all of these emotions going on around here, right? It's time to let them go, right? So new ideas about how to process loss and disappointment, right? So that could come up through writing, right? Personally, I'm a big fan of writing, journaling, right? There's a book out there called The Artist's Way by Julie Cameron, and it's about having a creative life. And it's not necessarily about becoming an artist, although you could end up being an artist. I started doing it. There's a section in there that talks about writing 3 pages a day. They call it the morning pages. And so 3 pages a day, just not editing it, right? Stream of consciousness. And so it gets rid of the censor in your head, in your spirit. It's getting rid of the thing that says like, I can't do this, I can't do this, I have to do this after this. That's usually kind of bullshit. Sorry. So it causes you to look at things like squarely, right? And being like, and so it, by getting your emotions out on paper, by getting the censor out of the way, right, it starts heading you into a different direction about what it is you can do, right? I started doing this. The 3 pages a day turned into poetry. I wasn't planning on writing poetry. So I started doing the 3 pages a day, started writing poetry. I was doing like open mic poetry in city of Cambridge, whatever, different places, having open mic. Continued doing that, and then I actually started like painting. This is one of my paintings in back here, and I thought that if I was going to paint, that it had to be like portraiture, right? That's not true. Right? My art is very different than what other people were doing. I do like sculpture and a lot of different things. So by doing that, it helps you to have an emotional release in other ways, right? So Pisces, this is like helping you, this eclipse thing, right? eclipsing problems out of your life, eclipsing people out of your life, right? Maybe getting a different kind of therapist to help you, right? Because if you've been holding on to these ideas here about what this therapist is supposed to help you to do, right? But now you want a different kind of a thing, right? Then you could very well be changing therapy, right? But, you know, I'm not saying this is just about therapy, but I am saying that there's a whole bunch of emotions that are trying to be released from you. And so you're being asked to look at how you can deal with things emotionally on a different way, right? So whatever that means for you, right? Whether you're going to go hang out down by the ocean, whether you're going to go swimming, whether you're going to do, however you're processing your emotions, right? It's like, it's definitely going to be a whole new you. It's a whole new you, Pisces. You're very interesting. Because you have all these emotions going on, but you're becoming much more clear in your head about what all of those emotions are all about, right? So this, to me, looks like there's more balance in your emotions. So that's awesome for you, you know, because it's like a whole new way of talking about, you don't have the card that represents like communication, but the way that it's making me feel here is that you're having a new way of discussing or talking about your emotions, right? Some way that feels more more clear, some way that makes them feel more grounded, right? Some place that allows you to own your emotions more, right? And be like, you know what? Like, I don't have to feel the way you want me to feel. This is how I feel, and this is what I'm doing. So, so yeah, so there's a lot of that going on around here. So again, if you like my channel, if you like what I'm saying, if it resonates with you, right? Click like, share, subscribe, whatever, all of that. It is 2/22/24, 4 2s. That's amazing. That's all about relationships. And so this video has been 2 hours, 22 minutes, and now 38 seconds. It's a long time. I will save it and I will publish it, and then I will put the timestamps in. So good luck. Have fun. Ciao.